Hello, everyone. Hello. We are going to be diving into 5 money emotions that you need to watch out for and how you could navigate these emotions so that you don't make a rash financial decision that could possibly hurt you for years to come. So, that is what we're talking about today. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If this is your very first time here, hi, I'm Elena and I am the owner of The Organized Money. I am a financial coach. I'm also a financial therapist. I help people navigate the emotional side of money in order to help them get organized and hopefully reach their financial goals, whether that be financial peace or you are just trying to get back on track. That is what I do. So, hello, Clarice. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time joining me, or if you are jumping on live, make sure that you say hello in the chat box and also let me know where you are joining me from. Hi, Vanessa. How are you? I am doing well. I'm doing very, very well. I'm excited to be on live today. A couple of things that I want to tell you all before we jump into today's class. The very first thing is if you did not know, I have started a second channel. So if you've noticed, my content has been kind of leaning in onto the emotional side of money. And as I am studying to become a certified financial therapist, I have really been diving into this work and I'm super interested in it. And that's why I'm bringing these types of classes to you all. And I do believe that there is another side of money that we definitely need to talk about, which is the emotional side, because it drastically affects how you make decisions. You don't make decisions just based off of your budget. You make decisions because of your money habits. You make decisions because of how you feel. If you feel good about a decision, then you're more likely to go with it. If you feel bad about it, you're more likely not to. So we need to learn how to navigate those feelings. We need to learn how to process and navigate those feelings so that we are making sure that we're making the right decisions. So that is what I'm talking about today, but that is also why I created a second channel. If you did not see it, I created another channel. It is called The Organized Planners, and I am going to be doubling down on planning content on that channel, on my second channel. And I will leave it linked in the description box if you wanted to subscribe to that one. I am not saying that all of my planning content will be over there. I believe that I'm going to leave my productivity planning content, the content that really does help you with money, is going to stay on this channel. So anything that is money related, budget planning is going to be here. Productivity planning is going to be here. But when we're talking about the plan with me's and the daily planning type of content, showing you the insides of my planner, that is more than likely going to be on my second channel. So I'm going to link that below if you wanted to check that one out as well. So that's my first announcement. The second announcement is that my 2025 budget planner is now ready. So I'm going to be putting up that video this upcoming Friday. So you will see the small changes. It's really small changes that I made to the budget planner, but I do feel like it makes a major difference. And so I'm going to be sharing the slight changes that I made in that video. And also it will be up on my Etsy shop this upcoming Friday. So if you love my budget planner, you have used my budget planner, make sure that you watch out for the video that's coming out on Friday, because I'm going to be showing you the one that is the small changes that I've made for the month, for the year 2025. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into today's class. Today we are diving into your money emotions, the 5 emotions that you really need to pay attention to as you are navigating your financial decisions, as you are trying to figure out the different things that you want to do with money. This is something that you definitely need to pay attention to. So first, let's talk about why. Why do we need to identify money emotions? I feel like a lot of times we're talking about the mechanics of money, the math of money, but we don't look at the emotional side of money or the behavioral finance, how we actually process and think through our emotions when it comes to money. Why? The first reason is because money is more than math. Money is way more than math. Money gives us freedom. Money has give us the ability to purchase the things that we want, and money has the ability to bring us more peace. So since money does all of these things, we can't just think of it as math. You can't just think, oh, if I write this down in my budget, then I am just going to follow this blindly just because I have added these things in my actual budget. More than likely, you are thinking beyond what you have written down because you are thinking about the emotional side of it and not just the math of money. And I think that many times we only worry about the math of money and we only get upset with ourselves because we're not sticking to the numbers that we have put on the paper. But there is a bigger mindset. There is bigger things that we have to think about, which includes our emotions. Why do you feel the way that you feel? Why are you anxious? Why are you worried? Why do you feel shame? Why do you feel guilt? Why do we feel these things? Because the more we can navigate these types of things, the better decisions we will make in the long run with our money, because we start to identify our triggers. We start to figure out what is something that could possibly lead us in the wrong direction, how to pause, how to stop, how to process and identify different things that may be causing us to head in the wrong direction. And so the first reason why you need to identify and know the emotional side of money is because money is way more than math. It is way more than math. And so we have to pay attention to the additional things that money do provide. The second reason is that money, 90% of the decisions you make are based on your feelings. So whether you think of it or not, 90% of the decisions that we make are not based on our budget. It is based on how we feel. And we know this because we create budgets and sometimes we don't follow the budget that we created. We will struggle to save money, even though we know we should save it, right? I know I should be preparing for Christmas, or I know I should be doing this. I know the next steps that I should possibly take, but I might be struggling because I have impulsive shopping habit, or I have another financial habit that is preventing me from doing the things that I know I should be doing. We could possibly take on new debt that we may not be able to handle. And this is because we are making emotional decisions, but we're thinking that we're making math decisions. When we write down our budget, we're saying, this is the math. I'm going to stick to this. But when it's time to actually execute and do the things that we have written out down on this paper, it's hard to execute the things that we've written. It's hard to actually stick to our budget. And the reason why it's so challenging is because we have feelings and we are trying to ignore those feelings, and we cannot ignore those feelings. We have to pay attention to them to see how we should possibly handle and manage our overall money. And the third reason why we need to pay attention to the emotional side of money is because we don't trust ourselves. And the reason why we don't trust ourselves is because we feel as though we didn't have the opportunity to learn certain things, to learn certain skills about money. So then we don't trust our intuition, feelings, or we think that we might be wrong. We think that there is something that we are possibly doing wrong, and we don't trust how we feel about the financial decisions that we're making. And we may not even seek out help because of our feelings. And so there is usually some type of disconnect between the spending that you're currently doing and the things that you actually say you value. So if I say, oh, I really, really want to save money, I really want to do this, this, and this, and I have this track record of the things that I want to complete and things I want to do. However, I am struggling with actually doing those things. There is a disconnect between the two. It is because my spending is not aligning with my values, and it's usually some emotional reason of why I am unable to do so. I am usually having some type of emotional reason for why I can't do it, and we haven't identified that reason. We haven't figured out what is causing us to not trust ourselves. And so this is the reason why I really wanted to dive into this topic today, because there is an emotional side of money that we definitely have to pay attention to. And once we tap into those emotions, then we are able to identify it and say, "Ooh, I am feeling this, and this is what I need to do when I am feeling this." And the best time to navigate is when you don't feel like that, right? I know that many times I would feel a certain way, and then I'm trying to navigate it as I'm feeling it, and it's very challenging to do that. You almost have to have a plan before you get into that situation. So before I'm in Target and I want to spend money, I need to decide what I'm going to do when I'm not in Target, right? So outside of Target, now I need to think about, what do I want to do if I'm in a situation where I want to spend impulsively? What rules can I set for myself? How can I stop myself? What behaviors, what habits can I put in place that can hopefully pause me so that I don't jump into something or make a bad financial decision? All right. So I'm going to talk about 5 main feelings. These are common feelings that a lot of us will experience when it comes to money. And we're going to talk about the feeling, what it causes, like how we feel, and the habits that can kind of come out of that particular feeling. You may have done some of these actions before, but as you listen to them, if you want to drop down in the chat box, if you feel free sharing, then you can definitely drop in the chat box and let us know, okay, this is something that I've experienced before. This is how I handled it in the past. Whether it was good or bad, you can definitely do that. Or if you have any questions about any of the ones that I'm going to be talking about today, because we're going to be talking about the 5 common feelings, but these are not the only ones. These are just the most common that we see when it comes to money, how it causes us to act, and the potential pitfalls that can happen if we are experiencing these types of emotions. So hopefully this content helps you. If it does, please give this video a thumbs up. Please, please. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you have any questions as I am going through this content, make sure you use #Q. I'm going to put it in the chat just so y'all know what I mean. Do this comment, like do #Q before your question. That way I can easily see that you have a question and I can make sure that I pull it up and answer it. All right, so let's dive into the 5 feelings, that we more than likely will have around money at some point, and how do we handle them. Oh, so happy that you're grateful for this content. I'm so happy to bring it to you. I'm so excited to share the different things that I'm learning. If you don't notice, I really, really love this type of content, and I'm super excited to share it with you all. All right. The very first common feeling that most of us will feel when it comes to money at some point in time in our life is anger. So anger usually happens when we are angry about some type of overall system or some type of situation that we may be going through. A lot of times this can happen with rising prices. Inflation is really high, unemployment, interest rates, the cost of living is super, super, super high. And when this happens, we can naturally feel very, very angry. And when that happens, when we feel anger, what happens? Usually it causes non-movement. Usually when you're angry, it causes non-movement. So what is non-movement? It's you feel stuck. You may feel hopeless. You may say things like, what does it matter anyway? What happened if I work this hard and I have it all taken away? What if, I have to go into bankruptcy? Like, we start to think these things that just make us really angry and make us feel like the situation itself is hopeless. So what's the point in trying? And so when we feel anger, when we feel this type of overwhelm, what usually happens is it causes you to feel nonchalant. You only live once. Like, if you've ever said that or heard someone else say it, you only live once. What does it matter anyway? We're all going to die anyway. Those types of statements, um, they basically are telling you to just disregard budgeting altogether, disregard managing your money. What does it matter anyway? And I picked up an article for every single one of the emotions that we're going to talk about, because, like I said, they're all very common. And since they are so common, I wanted to share with you the different things that I saw online about them. But most Americans, especially, are confused, angry about the economy, and it causes them. In this article, it dived into how frustrated people are. And since they're so frustrated, they're almost like, what's the point? Why am I doing this anyway? And if you feel like this, like you should, you start to give up. This is exactly what happens. You start to give up. You start to get off track. You start to think, what's the point? Then usually this is a sign that you could possibly be angry. You could possibly be struggling with budgeting as a whole. And this could possibly lead you in a direction that could bring you even more turmoil in the future, right? Because the more you ignore something, the bigger it grows. So if I ignore my finances altogether, then the more likely I'm going to have a harder situation that I have to get out of in the future. I'm going to have more debt that I have to get out in the future. I'm going to have to do something else in the future, right? So this is when you can take a break, because I have definitely had a weekend where I said, you know what, I'm just not going to look at it this weekend. I'm going to give myself a break. I'm going to white space. I'm going to take for a walk. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money, because that doesn't help. But I might just take a break from looking at it and give myself time to journal, white space, and get past my anger. What you're trying to get past is the emotion and not make a rash financial decision while you're still in the emotion. And so if you start to feel nonchalant about your budget, then that can be a sign. Notice that that is a sign. Okay, wait, I'm starting to feel emotional, because this is the thing. Usually we try and ignore the emotion, but when we ignore the emotion, usually it comes out in another type of way. You're going to wake up at 3 a.m. and you're going to be thinking about these things, because we can't ignore the emotion. We have to address the emotion. And the best way to address it is to reach at it at its core and say, this is what I'm feeling. Like, actually acknowledge that that is how you're feeling. So when you are feeling angry, the first thing that you need to do is acknowledge that you are feeling angry. The second thing that you need to do is find some way to move past the anger. So it could be white spacing, it could be journaling, it could be meditation, it could be going for a walk, it could be just a quiet dinner at home, whatever the case may be. But it cannot require spending money. Cannot require spending money, because once again, if you are spending money while you're in the midst of this emotion, you're more than likely going to put yourself in more trouble in the long run. So you have to identify that's the emotion that you're feeling, identify that you might be nonchalant about your budget, and then take a day off, take some time to process how that makes you feel, and then try and find ways to move past it so that you can get back to it. But this is one of the top emotions that more people will feel, and this causes a lot of people to get stuck in that particular feeling. The second one is fear. If you've ever had fear around your money, it could be the fear of missing out, the fear of not being on the same level as our peers. So you are looking at social media, you're seeing everybody on vacation, you're seeing all of these nice clothes, all of these nice houses, and you are starting to compare. Usually this comes with a lot of comparison, and we fear missing out. And when we fear missing out, this could lead us to envy. It could cause us to regret a lot of our past decisions. It could cause us to make a lot of rash decisions because we are really getting involved in trying to just see what else everybody else is doing. And we feel like everyone else is living a life that we are not currently living. And once we start to feel that feeling, then fear can cause you to do a bunch of things that you might not normally do. So I don't know if y'all saw this video, or y'all like was paying attention to the TikTok trend, but at the beginning of September, there was a viral video that went viral on TikTok, and it was basically telling people that Chase had a glitch. There was a glitch with Chase, and if you bring a check to the ATM and you put a check in the ATM, then you can take money out that isn't in your actual account. So you write a check, you could say it's $10,000, you deposit it, the Chase ATM would give you $6,000, or you can take it right back out, and then you can spend the money. And so this was a Chase ATM glitch that went viral and basically was just telling people to commit check fraud. And when I saw it, I immediately thought, no one would possibly do that. Like, that's an insane thought. But a lot of people actually did it. A lot of people. Now, number one, they filmed themselves doing this. So that was already insane, because once you film yourself, you basically filmed yourself committing a crime. And now Chase was collecting all of the videos, like they were saving all of the videos that they could find from someone doing this. Secondly, because of fear or whatever, fear of missing out, a lot of people rushed to make a really bad decision that led to a lot of emotional turmoil, and a lot of like they was going to jail. I saw a couple of people go to jail behind it. They had like legal issues. Their accounts was negative $6,000, $7,000, $10,000. I think I saw one that was like 30K. It was crazy. But I think that the bigger goal here is that people were having an emotional response to something that they thought was a glitch, which was not a glitch. It was just check fraud. And they were trying to hurry up and respond and try and get in on the glitch through the fear of missing out. So they were so afraid that they were going to miss out on this free money that they made a really bad decision. And this is what fear can do. Fear can cause you to feel like you're going to miss out on something, that you have to hurry up and get on this before it goes away, before you are unable to jump into this. And so now you feel like, I have to do this. And once you feel like that, you can make a really, really, really bad decision. Right? So these are emotional decisions, because I know when a lot of people saw this, I was looking at the comments and so many people were like, why would you do this? This is insane. Why would anybody do this? But when we tap into the emotional side of our minds, and we can lose all logic. Like I said, 90% of the decisions that we will make sometimes are based off our emotions. They are based off of how we feel about something. And if you are really scared, or you think you're going to miss out on something that's great, especially if you think it's free money, you can get lost in the euphoria of the moment, and you can commit check fraud, right? Or you can waste away your savings. There are a bunch of different things that you could possibly do. So if you notice yourself being afraid, then make sure you are not rushing into any type of financial decision. Do not rush. Don't hurry up. If someone is pressuring you to hurry up and make a decision, right? Like you got to get in right now. You can't miss out. You can't miss out. You can't miss out. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. Then more than likely, it's not a good financial decision. Because why do you have to rush me? Why can't I think about this? Why can't I process this information? Why do I have to hurry up and do this? And so this is an indication where you have to pay attention to the decisions that you are making. I feel like there is no such thing as free money, especially when you have low income. There is no such thing as free money, no matter what your income is. For the most part, when we are talking about money, it has to do with some type of skill. Like you have to have a skill related to it, or you have to have money that made money, right? And so I remember seeing, I see these investment videos, and that was also on TikTok, where they were like, oh, just invest in the same stock as the rich. The thing is that sometimes when we just look at the same things that rich people do, first, they have way more disposable income and they can take higher risks. They can usually take way higher risks than we can take. And so when we blindly follow their advice, once again, from the fear of missing out, you can really end up messing yourself up in the long run. You can really mess yourself up in the long run. I have a goal, plan, and envelope system, but emotionally spent on pre-made food before. I work the weekend job I need desperately, but I'm not happy with yet. Now, here's the thing, and I think this kind of will answer your question too, Sharon. When we are talking about money, expenses, there's only two sides. It's so like more than likely we have so much advice out there, but it comes down to two parts. One, how much you make. Two, how much you're able to keep based off of your expenses. And if one side is really high, if your expenses are really high, we have to increase their income. If your income is really high, if your income is really good and it's high, then we have to decrease your expenses. Those are the two. And so now with the content that I am planning on going into, I wanted to do more about making money, managing money, and the emotional side of money, because those are the three things that work together that basically ultimately will decide how financially well you are. It's based off of those three. We got to know our money personalities. We got to tap into the behavioral side of money. We have to know the house we grew up in and how our parents may have affected our overall mindset, because that's where everything starts. That's the first part. The second part is the actual management of money. We got to make sure we're not going over our budget anymore. We got to, save and like pay attention to how much we are making versus how much we're spending. Once we got the management down, then we have to increase our income. We have to increase our income. And those are the three ways that we could possibly do this. Now, there are some apps. The ones that I will usually use are the receipt apps, and they do once you upload your receipt, Fetch, I think, is one. They have a bunch of them out there. I know I did an article on that. If I find that article, I will link it in the description box. But there are a bunch of different apps that you can use, and it's not technically free money. It's like money back on different receipts that you put within the app. And yes, they do work. You just have to consistently use the app in order to really get the benefit of those types of apps. Like you have to really consistently use it. All right, let's go into the third emotion. Your third emotion is going to be shame of not knowing enough about money. A lot of people have a lot of shame when it comes to money, feeling as though they should be further along in their journey than they actually are. That can cause a lot of people to feel overwhelmed with money and feel shameful around money. Feelings of shame can definitely cause people to go into avoidance Money avoidance. And I've talked about money avoidance before when I talked about the flyer personality, but money avoidance is basically when you just decide you're going to ignore your money. You act like your money does not exist. I will just check it whenever I have to, but it's almost like a when I have to and I never want to. It's only when I absolutely have to. Oh yeah, Fetch and Shopkick. Those are two good ones. I use Fetch for a lot of different things, but I've never heard of Shopkick. I might have to download that one. But if you have any feelings of shame, and this is really popular with millennials, and I am under the millennial. If you are a millennial, you usually will feel a lot of money shame. A lot of us do. And when we tap into money avoidance, this is where we can not check our bank accounts, and you could go possibly a week, 2 weeks without checking it until you get paid again. You won't create a budget. You may not ask for help or seek help. You're doing a good service just by clicking on this video, because a lot of people who have money shame will never click on a video like this. They will not come to a class like this because they are avoiding money talks, conversations, education at all costs. Like they are trying to ignore the problem as much as possible. And they are hoping that if they ignore it, it will possibly go away. But shame usually manifests in a variety of different areas of our lives. Like it will affect our family, it will affect our relationships, it will hurt us in multiple different ways. And this is just because we are trying to avoid a problem that we need to address. And a lot of millennials deal with this, but I've seen multiple people from multiple generations who have money avoidance because they feel shameful, because they feel like they should know something that no one ever taught them. And that's the biggest thing I usually will tell clients. How do you expect to know something that no one ever taught you? If no one ever told you how to ride a bike and you were an adult and you didn't know how to ride a bike, you wouldn't feel any shame for it. The same thing if you didn't know how to swim. You never hear of anyone shaming someone for not knowing how to swim or not knowing how to ride a bike if no one ever taught them that skill. And so this is the same thing that we have to think about when it comes to money. If no one ever taught you how to handle money, how to budget your money, how to manage debt, how to get, purchase a house, or the different things, different investments and Roth IRAs and all of these different things. If no one taught you about these things, how are you expecting to automatically know just because you reached the age of 25 or just because you got a job? That's usually where our education starts. And hopefully one day it will be in school in the way it needs to be. But for now, while you are starting your own journey, while you are listening to podcasts, while you are trying to better yourself in this particular field, then you should never feel shame around what you don't know. And so if you are experiencing money avoidance, the only way to get past money avoidance is to do it, like face it head on. That's the only way. So it's kind of it's a catch-22, because it's like the only way to get past it is to stop it. And the only way to stop it is to stop it, right? So this one is really, really challenging to get past. But I always tell people to take really small steps. Like if you never check your bank account, start there. I would say just open up your bank account every single morning, and that's it. Small steps. Like I will check my bank account every morning. I will just make sure that I look at my transactions, and then I will work my way up to a budget. I will work my way up to saving. I will work my way up to checking on my debt. But small steps are usually the best way in order to get past money avoidance, which stems from shame usually. And once you are able to get a little bit past it, then you should be able to start to seek out help, get more people, talk to more people about it. If you have a trusted friend or a family member that you can talk about it, then do that. But money avoidance is something that a lot of people experience. And it's one of the heavier emotions that makes it really, really, really challenging to get them budgeting, saving, all of the things that we really, really need to do. And usually it was like you'll start it for a little bit and then you'll stop. If you kind of jump back and forth on that roller coaster, and it's based on if you have money versus if you don't. If I don't have money, I'm not budgeting it, because for what, right? And if I do have it, then I'll look at it because I have it, right? But that's still avoidance. That's still avoidance. So we still have to pay attention to that. And the only way to get past it is to take small steps and actually address it and really, really do it. The next one is money anxiety. So, financial anxiety is really, really big. I think this is probably one of the more popular ones, popular emotions that I have seen and come across, and probably have experienced even myself. And this is anxiety from possibly not recovering from a poor decision. Maybe you made a poor financial decision and now you are trying to recover from that poor decision. And when you have anxiety, you will usually still experience avoidance. Yes, because we're not checking, but you also will have a lot of physical ailments. There are a lot of physical ailments that usually will come with financial anxiety, because financial anxiety is worry about the future. I am consistently worrying about what's coming up next. And so when I feel anxious, then I will wake up in the middle of the night. This usually is a sign of financial anxiety. I am constantly worried about money. I am nervous opening up bills, and I'm so nervous answering the phone just in case it might be a bill collector. So there are multiple things that can kind of manifest out of anxiety. So you have to pay attention to, okay, why am I nervous right now? Why do I feel this immense tense anxiety? What is it about me that is starting to feel like I can't move past this situation? And so usually it is when we have money avoidance. I mean, when we have financial anxiety, we are struggling with a future that we are trying to predict. So I'm trying to think of what's possibly going to happen in a future that I don't have yet. Like I don't see the future, but when I start to think about what could possibly happen, then I lose sleep. I might get migraines. I could have body aches. I can feel overwhelmed. Usually all of these come from the feelings of anxiety. And so the financial therapy is definitely one that can really, really help you with financial anxiety. And also some of the other ones that I was talking about before, like meditation, journaling, taking breaks, taking it slow. A lot of these different types of emotions can definitely help. They can be triggers. And so you can kind of figure them out as you are processing them. For me and my financial orientation, I like to start with my level first and then work my way up. Yeah. So when we're talking about, and this is why the emotions is like level one, right? I used to talk about finances, and I used to just say, oh, the first thing that you're going to do is start a budget. Actually, the first thing that we have to do is figure out what your goals are. What are your values? How did you grow up when it came down to money? Because I used to start with the budget and just say, oh, it's just simple. Just write down a budget. Just write down your numbers. And it's easy. And then I realized over time how it was not easy, and how many people struggled with just that step, with just writing down the budget. Writing down the budget was overwhelming for them. And so I had to back up and go into, okay, what's your money personality? What childhood home did you grow up in? What are your money habits? What are your triggers? What are the things that are causing you? What's your stress when it comes to money? What's your financial anxiety? What keeps you up at night when it comes down to money? And then once we started to figure out those things, then it was easier to create a budget, because I couldn't create a budget that, like, the budget wasn't based on their actual goals. I had to figure out what their goals were first. And usually you figure those out based on your what your struggles are when it comes to money, because we got to figure out how to make it click for you. What's the thing that's actually going to make you want to stick to this thing with your whole heart? Because I can write down numbers all day, but like I said, those numbers are just math. And if I can't get you to move past the math and to think about the emotional side of it, then it's going to be hard to get you to actually stick to the math, because you probably are not going to care, right? It's not going to be enough for you to connect and care about this. Um, I'm guessing you have to peel back the layers. Fear can show up as anger. Yes. So anger is usually a secondary, or like there usually is always something under anger. So whenever you are angry, I would always peel back layers, because usually when you're angry, it's a secondary emotion. Like there is something else going on before anger. So you might be shameful and feel angry. You could be anxious and feel angry. You could be any one of the other ones that I talk about, can show up as anger. But I like to start with telling people, okay, you're angry, because usually people can identify that one the easiest, right? I can see it like that. That's the easiest. And then once I identify it, then we can peel back the layers and figure out what is actually causing you to be that angry. And usually it's shame, it's overwhelm, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's anxiety. It's something to figure it out. Yes, you do have to sit in it to figure out what it is. And I think this is probably the hub of this entire conversation. If you don't take anything else out of this class, the main thing I want you to do is figure out what emotion you feel when it comes to your money. When you are doing your budget, or when you are not doing your budget, but you know you're supposed to be doing your budget, why are you not? What is the emotion that's causing you to not? And I know in the past for me, it's always been avoidance. And usually I am avoiding it because I feel like I didn't have the skill or the money or the ability to process and actually get through it. I thought, okay, I'm always going to be in this situation, so I'm going to just avoid it. I'm going to just avoid it. I'm going to just act like it doesn't exist. Right? Now, this could also be the issue, which is why I also talk about time. Y'all know we talk about time and money management, which is why I said the second channel is going to be just like the planning stuff. Because when I started my channel, like I was really sticking with like time management. And then it kind of became more about my actual planner, because a lot of people had questions about how I actually use my planner and the multiple steps within my planner. But I really wanted to keep this channel on to the time management side, because time management affects your money the same way your emotions affect your money, the same way the math affects your money. Because when we don't set aside time to look at our money, it's going to impact our money. So those are the topics that, really, really impact us. And we're going to definitely talk more about time management. Y'all know every Vlogmas, I do a whole how to organize your life series on this channel. And we dive into, how I organize this, how I make time for that, how I set up my money routine, how I set up my daily routine, how I set up my morning routine in order to manage and keep up with my budget. And so that is going to be within that series, because making time to do this is just as important if you're not avoiding it, because sometimes we'll say, oh, I don't have time, but you have time to scroll on TikTok or something else, which means you're actually avoiding it. You do have time. But if you're like, no, I don't even scroll online, I don't even look at social media, I am just beat, exhausted, I work 12-hour shifts, whatever the case may be, and you genuinely do not have time, then that might be something that we need to dive into. But what I also have realized is a lot of times we will say it's time, but it's actually avoidance. We're procrastinating. We are trying to think of something else. We're not trying to do it. Um, let's see. I think some of my money fears come from the lack of growing up. I think I'm still living my life this way and it's keeping me broke. Yeah. So how we grew up in the four, I think our last live, I talked about the four money houses and how you grew up, your childhood affects how you see money now. So there were four money houses that I talked about. It was the unstable money house, it was the fearful money house, it was the unaware money house, and it was the stable. So if you were in the unstable money house or the fearful one, you may have heard things like money don't grow on trees, or you can't get money like this, or, like there are a lot of messages that were told to you, and you probably developed some type of money message by the time you were 7 years old. And so, since you've been 7 years old, you had this concept of money, and it's been ingrained into your mind that money is hard to come by, that it's scarce, that you should be scared of losing it, that it's never coming back, you will always be broke, all of these things. And now you're an adult who has the ability to make your own money, and you're still living by those same principles that were told to you when you were 7. And now it's hard for you to actually make money, do anything with money, move past this mindset, and you believe, oh, I can't make more. There's no way I can make more money. This is it. This is it. And this is because usually we have something that is telling us that it is not possible for us to get past this particular situation. And usually it stems from childhood, that we have to have, that this is the only way that we can make money and we will never get past this space. And so we have to process that. We have to process our own emotions. We have to process our money personality. We have to process, what are we passionate about that could possibly get us to more money? What are our money values so that we could possibly get into a space where we can make more money? But there are multiple things that are happening all at the same time that make you who you are. And that person is the person that is trying to get to the place where you can have financial peace. So this could take a while. It's not going to take forever, and you can start putting things in place as you are moving. But this definitely took me some time. It took me about 2 years to kind of like figure out who I was and what I valued, what I like to spend my money on, and what I could live without. Because looking at social media, I wanted it all. I wanted the big house, the car, I wanted all of the things that I saw, the clothes. And then as I started to learn my own values, I started to realize, actually, I enjoy experiences way more than I enjoy new clothes. I enjoy, going to restaurants way more than I enjoy. Like, I started to figure out what I actually liked. And so then that helped me to navigate my spending, because I didn't have to spend myself on new cars, because I didn't really care about a new car as much as I thought I did. I only wanted it when I saw someone else had it. All right. Avoidance, since I'm ashamed and angry I put myself in this situation. Yes. What do you do about fixed income? I get anxious when I think about actually sitting down and figuring out something I don't have. So I would just continue to rob Peter to pay Paul and trust that the Lord will. So, yes. So I will say this. I do believe that you start with your fixed income because that's where you are. However, y'all know I'm an entrepreneur. I'm really big on finding ways, even if it's a side hustle. I don't believe that you have to quit your 9 to 5, But I do believe in finding a way that to make additional money. And I believe that everyone can do it. Now, this also could be my money personality, my money behavior, all of that kind of working into play, and the fact that I have been in entrepreneurship for quite some time. But I believe that when you are on a fixed income, it limits how much you're able to accomplish and do in the length of time. It's not impossible, but the time it may take you a little bit longer. So this is why I said I wanted to really dive into and start talking about how to make more money and the different things that I have learned over the years of entrepreneurship, some that have worked out really, really well, others that did not, that, I'm like, oh, that didn't work. But I've always learned how to take calculated risk. And I think that when you do have a 9 to 5, you do have an opportunity to possibly have something else, some type of side hustle. And I don't believe in leaving my house to do so, but I do believe in having some type of side hustle, something else that I am passionate about that could possibly also bring in some extra income. That's my thoughts. But I am a big fan of making extra money. I'm a really, really big fan of that. What do you do if certain fixed expenses making you feel like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul? Like I said, if there are fixed expenses that you can get rid of, I would get rid of them. However, the opposite side of the coin is to find a way to make more. Now, you might say, I don't want to get another job. I'd rather increase the one that I have and look for a promotion or something else. Or, like I said, I do believe in possibly finding a way to monetize something that I genuinely believe that everybody has a gift. I think that if you are on this earth, God has given you a gift. And if God has given you a gift, I think that you are able to use that to help the world and also live off of that gift. I think that if God gave it to you, he gave it to you so that you're able to monetize it and help others. And it doesn't have to be icky. You don't have to give it away for free. You don't have to, you can monetize it in a healthy spiritual way that also helps people, and people will be glad to give you money in order to fix their problem, the problem that they currently have. And I just genuinely believe that everybody has a gift that they can do and they can monetize. I think that many times we sell ourselves short and we think we don't have a gift. And I think that that is our number one challenge, is that we don't think that we have anything that we could possibly monetize or do anything with, because we just feel like we're stuck. And so that's my thoughts. And so, yes, I do believe that if you find the finding of the gift might be a journey, because it was for me. Took me years. Took me about 5 years to figure it out. However, once I figured it out, I went all in. And I think that that is probably more of the journey than it is anything else. Then, even once, as you were doing this work, we're working on both sides. We're trying to figure out both sides all at the same time. All right. Let me get this last one, because I think this last one is very important and I wanted to talk about this, and then I'm going to dive into all of the rest of your questions. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the chat now. But the last one is actually a positive emotion, but I think that many times we will get lost in this positive emotion. Excitement, elation, you got a bonus, you got an unexpected increase, you got your tax return, and you got so excited that you became super impulsive and took unnecessary risks or just spent a lot of money that you just did not have. And so this can cause elation, happiness, because we got extra money, can actually cause a lot of people to spend money that they and spend it super, super quickly. And if anything ever says that, it's always the lottery winners. If you've ever seen lottery people who've won the lottery and then they're broke 3 years later, the average lottery winner is broke again in 3 to 5 years. And this is because they didn't slow down. They got a bunch of money and they were so excited, and they just didn't think that this money would ever go away. They just thought that this money was going to change their lives. And this might not be a lottery for you. It may not be the lottery for you, but it might be, a big bonus that you got, right? And so you get this really, really big bonus. You're super, super excited. And now you just spend, 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 spend. Oh, I'm gonna pay this off. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then you blink and the money is gone. It's already gone. And so you have to slow down. You got to research. You got to look at the pros and cons. You've got to take your time, even when you're happy. So, any extreme emotion, the biggest thing from this is any extreme emotion, you need to pause. Because if you're experiencing any type of extreme emotion, then you are in danger of making a poor financial decision. If you're super, super happy, you could impulsively spend or take unnecessary risk. If you're feeling shameful, you could be avoiding your money. If you're feeling angry, you could feel like money doesn't matter or you don't care, you only live once. If you feeling anxious, then you could feel it and you have headaches and now you're worried and now you are impulsive, right? If you are fearful, then you could possibly do something that is not smart, like go and put a fake check in an ATM, right? So there are multiple things that can happen, and usually they happen when we are in our extremes. When we are extremely feeling one way or another, that's the time that we really, really got to pay attention, because that can really throw us off and make us cause us to make a really, really bad financial decision. So the secret to getting control of your emotions as it relates to your money is not to pretend that they are not related. So at the end of the day, we cannot ignore our emotions. This is the one time that you have to pay attention to your emotions. You have to pay attention to how you feel, because how you feel is basically going to help you navigate if you're supposed to make a decision right now or if you're supposed to not. And so if I'm feeling any extreme emotion, I'm really, really happy, I'm really, really sad, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm lonely, I'm tired, don't spend money. Those are times where any extreme emotion, we should not be spending money, especially money that's not planned. Now, if you plan to spend it and it was already set aside for that, that's not the same. But if you have not planned to spend it and you're experiencing extreme emotion and you want retail therapy and you need to feel better or you are want to celebrate, watch it. Watch those emotions, because usually it will lead to some type of habit that you will always gravitate toward to make yourself feel better, or because you're feeling good, right? And now you want to celebrate. So either sides of the coin are pretty bad. They can cause financial ruin. It can, one small decision, like the people who did the Chase checks, one decision they did on one random day could possibly cost them years of their life. And one decision that you can make on one day could possibly cost you months of trying to recover. And so this is why we just really got to slow down and pay attention, because that's the best way to make the best financial decision. All right. Let me see. I see this question. There it is. Healthy spiritual way. How did you go about finding your gift? Ooh, this is a loaded question. All right, let's see. I can give you. I'm gonna try and give you a very um, rundown version. So I started. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was an accountant for 8 years. I was an accountant for almost 10 years. And in 2012, that's when I knew I wanted to go in entrepreneurship some way or form of fashion. At the time, I thought it was going to be a side hustle. And so I tried everything. I tried different things. I think I had a boutique at one point in time. I had in a housing organization business where I would organize houses. I made jewelry. I started a cupcake business for a little bit. I had a stationery shop, but I not the stationery shop that I currently have. I made invitations, like wedding invitations and things like that. And that was probably one of the more popular ones before I started the one that I have. But at the time when I was trying different things, I was just trying a little bit of everything. And then I really started to get into scripture, and I started to get into my word, and I started to read about, this is based on Romans 12, um, the spiritual gifts. And we did a series, if you follow empowerment. So if y'all didn't know, I'm also a pastor. Me and my husband pastor a church here in New Orleans. And we did a series on the spiritual gifts, which are there are different spiritual gifts that each one of us have, that it's given to you as you're born. Same thing as the love language, same thing as the money personality. You are given a spiritual gift. And so I started to do a deep dive into the spiritual gifts. Now, I've always had a natural inclination to be organized. Now, I ran from it for a little bit, but I've always been naturally an organized person. And so a lot of times when people ask me, oh, how did you get so organized? My mom was organized. I think it was passed down. It's something that I've always had. However, I did not know it was a gift until later on in life, until I took the spiritual gifts assessment and I realized that my top gift was the gift of administration. I also had the gift of giving. And I realized that that was something that I was looking at as just, oh, that's just something I do. I just like to organize stuff. It's just, I do this there and here. And I was looking at it as something as passive. And it was something that that was a God-given gift that I needed to pay attention to and possibly use for the rest of my life. And so once I realized that it was a gift, that's when I started the organized money, because I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. I love talking about money, and I have the gift of organization, organized money, right? So if you are on this journey, I am going to lead you to your Bible. I just am. And I know this isn't a spiritual channel, and I talk about it here and there, but I am a spiritual person, and I deeply believe that there is a spiritual connection to everything that we desire to do. And so I look through that lens to try and see, okay, where is it in my Bible? Can I find this in my Bible? And if I can find it in my Bible, then that is what I'm going to lean on. So I'm going to lead you there, because I think that if you figure out your spiritual gift, then more than likely, once you know what that spiritual gift is, God will lead you. That is probably your first indication of where you are going to be the most passionate, the healthiest version of yourself. And that is where you will find your spiritual answer to a worldly problem. That's probably the best way I can answer that. But I do think that experimentation, a lot of it was in there as well. And so once I started to experiment with different things, I started to figure out that this was my thing. And once I figured out this was my thing, it became just fun and easy. And yes, I was making money, but man, I'm helping people. And oh my goodness, the joy that I get from helping people and knowing that I'm walking in the calling that God has called on me, there is no other feeling. There's no, and yes, we're talking about money. Yes. But when I tell you, it's so much bigger than that. It's so much, because money can only get you so far. Money, like we've seen rich people who decide to let it all go, or people who have a lot of money and then no money and they go back and forth, right? We've seen all of that. But when you have a peace that just kind of comes with what you do, then the money, of course, is going to come because it's following the peace, right? It's just like they work hand in hand. And so find it in your Bible. And I will put in the description box. I don't usually do this, but I will because this is just where we ended up. But I will put in the description box the link to the spiritual gifts that we talked about, because I think that teaching, we did all of the gifts, and it was a series that we did. So I'll put the entire playlist. So then that way you can hopefully find yourself. You'll hear yourself. One of these gifts, you're going to be like, "Ooh, that's me." Now you're going to have that for multiple things, because I have, like, you have primary, secondary. You'll have some that are you, some other ones that are you, but then you'll have one that's just like, "Oh, this is screaming me. This is exactly, this is me." And once I heard that was me, I started exploring what are the jobs that kind of elevate that particular gift. So mine was the gift of administration, which is the gift of organization. And so I really love to organize things. However, I realized I really love to organize things on paper. Hence, that's why I talk about paper and time management and money, because that was my area. That was my gifting. That was where I shined the best. And then I made a business. And then I didn't mind sharing it because I love talking about this. I've been talking for over an hour and I need to stop. But that's my point. I could talk about this for an hour, and then I can jump off of live and talk to a client, and then I can talk into a room, because when you love it, it's just fun and it's just easy and it just comes naturally to you. And that's another thing, because it comes naturally to you. I think a lot of times we just be like, "Oh, well, maybe it comes naturally to everybody," but it doesn't. It does not. People will buy the thing that you are naturally gifted in, because God gifted us all in different ways. And so there's somebody else that's out there that they are gifted in another area, like they're gifted in exhortation. And I'm like, "How do you talk like that? How do you pray like that?" And I will pay you to show me how you do that. And there are people who have my same gift, and I still appreciate that same gift in them, because it show up differently, right? Like mine shows up on paper, but I have a friend who can organize a house impeccably. Like, it's just like amazing what this girl can do with a space. I don't feel like I'm as organized with my space as I am with my planner. And now I can, like, it's nice and it's clean, but I feel like my area of genius is on paper. And you will find your area of genius, and it, once again, doesn't feel like work. It does not feel like work. It feels like something that's just super, super fun. And you just get to do it, and you get to help a bunch of people, and people are so excited. And it's just like there's a joy that just comes with it, and you'll always want to do it. So yeah, that's all I got. But I don't know how I ended up getting all the way over here. Yes, and you love to teach. And that's another thing. I like never saw myself being a teacher. Ever, ever, ever. Didn't like the limelight, didn't like spotlight. I don't like stages. I'm actually super an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. People like, "Oh, you're an extrovert." I am not. But I'll tell you this, when you are doing something through, like, it ends up not becoming about you. Like, it ends up genuinely not being about me. Like, I'm sitting here, yes, I'm talking to you, but when I say I care more about what I'm telling you than what you think I look like, it's way more about what I'm saying and the content and that than it is if you perceive me a certain way. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then you will end up talking for hours, and it really isn't about you. Like, because you're just so excited to get your message out there, that it's way more about the message than it is about you, how you look, all of this other stuff. You're just like, "God, thank you for this gift. How can I not share this gift with everyone else when you gave it to me to share?" Right? That's what it's about. Like, it's never about me. It's about the gift that he gave me, and I am supposed to share it, because if he gave you a gift, it's not for you. It's for everyone else. Right. Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for staying on this live for an extra like 8 minutes because I kind of went over. But maybe we'll do an entire class on that. Like, because that, I think that is probably my number one way to help you to find what how to make more money. And I never liked the, oh, just do drop shipping, just do, I've done side hustle classes, but if you notice, I have done them few and far in between. I don't really like doing side hustle classes too much because I don't feel like that's the route I went. I went the spiritual, deep down, this is your passion, this is your gift, you should teach route rather than the side hustle route. So maybe we'll do a class on how to find your gift. And maybe I'll just look, let's just whip out the Bible and I'll just show you what it is in Romans. And then whoever wants to join. I'm down, right? Okay. So thank y'all so much for joining me. And I will see you all in my next live. Remember, this Friday, I'm going to be sharing with you the new budget planner. And I think I have it here. Wait. Yes. So this is the new budget planner. I did decide to take off the year. At first I was going to put the year, but I did decide to take it off. So y'all will see the finished version of this budget planner in my Friday video. I'm going to share it with you. And it's undated as it always is. And I'm going to do a complete flip through. And then we will be doing my October budget with me setup probably by the end of this week, maybe early next week. All right. So thank y'all so much. I can't wait to share it with you. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys. Y'all have a good one. See y'all later.